What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, the place to learn how to build your influence, your income and a community on social media. Now today we're going to talk about how to go viral on Instagram. Now let me ask you a quick question. You remember being at school, right? You remember being taught by your teachers, you remember being taught maths, English, whatever subjects it was. But is there one thing you learned at school that really stands out to you? Or is there one person at school who really stands out to you? Just think about that for a moment. And as we jump into the video, I'm going to explain exactly what that has to do with going viral on Instagram. Now, if you've ever watched videos from people like Gary Vee, Russell Brunson, Tony Robbins, or maybe someone like Jim Rohn, then I can almost guarantee that you can think of one thing or one idea, one concept that they've taught you. Now, why is this? Because just like everyone else on Instagram or on social media, they're teaching people things to do. But why do you remember them so much? One thing you need to understand is that when you teach people, you give them knowledge. And there's this saying that knowledge is power, and quite frankly it's not, because people can have the knowledge, if they don't act on it, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't affect them personally, it doesn't do anything for them. So the difference between these huge personal brands and everyone else is that when they teach, they're inspiring. And when you get inspired, you take action. So by them inspiring you, you're taking action. When you take action, you experience a change. And when that change happens, you put it down to one reason: that person who inspired you. So that's why it works. Not only should you teach, but you also need to inspire people when you're producing your content. But then the question becomes, well, how do you do that? How do you inspire people in your content? Well, here's some ideas. One of the first things you can do is start adding context to your ideas. Now, content's great, but if there's no context behind it, if there's no background behind what you're talking about, it's very hard for people to relate to it. It's very hard for people to resonate with it. And the best pieces of viral content, they resonate with people in some way, whether that inspires them, whether that makes them feel good, whether it makes them think about a happy memory or even a sad memory. The context is what gets that emotional attachment from people. So how do you actually achieve that context? A good way is just use stories. So teach a subject, teach people something actionable that they can put into action, but give them a story behind it. Just like I did at the start of this video, I told you to think about your time at school, to think about things that you remember being taught, think about people you remember teaching you. And I've done that on purpose because that's gotten you invested into this video. It's got you thinking, and right now you're starting to see full circle how that story is paying off. Because when you put context to an idea, you understand it more, you can relate to it more, and ultimately that makes you much more likely to engage with it. And when people engage with it more, it makes it much more likely to share it. And when you share a piece of content more, that is what makes it much more likely that it will go viral on Instagram. Another great way to inspire people and to ultimately make your content go viral is to make them feel good. So again, like I said about using stories is a great way to do it, but make people ultimately feel great about reading your piece of content. Maybe you taught them something completely new. Maybe you made them feel really good about themselves. When you can do these things, it ultimately makes them feel good about your piece of content, it makes them feel proud, and it makes them want to share it. Now the thing about content is that people won't just share something just for the sake of it. It usually has to make them feel something. It usually has to make them also look a certain way. Because whether we sort of think or realise it, everything we do is for some reason. Even just in sharing content, there's a subconscious reason behind it. And typically it's because we're actually showing off. It's actually because we're showing people, something we found. Now people are much more likely to share something that makes them either look good, feel good, or makes them show off that they've learned something new or something unique that other people haven't seen yet. So if you can try and tick all of these boxes within your content, that can ultimately help you to inspire people more and inspire people to take action in the form of sharing your content, which ultimately makes it more likely to go viral again on Instagram. Now, inspiring people doesn't always have to be a positive thing. It doesn't have to be inspiring them to be better or to do something. It's quite simply inspiring people to take an action. Now, that action can be agreeing with you or it can be disagreeing with you. And the way to do this is to create a piece of content that's slightly polarizing. Now, it's something I've mentioned before in another video, and one thing I have to really point out is polarizing doesn't mean offensive. It just means that there's two sides of the argument. A great polarizing topic, for an example, is whether you use an iPhone or a Samsung. Now, there are two very clear sides of the argument here, and both sides of the argument have very strong opinions on what they believe in. Now, you need to find out what are these polarizing arguments within your community, within your niche, and you can use them to create a debate around what you're talking about. Just make sure that when you talk about these subjects, you always try and keep it constructive. You always try and keep it in an actionable way. So try and teach something that shows your opinion on this subject so that you give people value in what you believe in and what they also believe in. But at the same time, for those who don't agree with you, it gives them the opportunity to put their point across. Now this way, you can be sure that you're not only creating content just for the people that agree with you, but you're also creating content for people who disagree with you. And you open up that conversation, and when that happens, you get more engagement, you're going to get more saves, you're going to get more likes, you're also going to get more shares from both sides of the argument. And when all these things come together, it makes it much more likely to push your post further and ultimately go viral in the end. So guys, if there's one thing I want you to understand about going viral on Instagram, is that going viral is always relative to whatever stage you're at right now. So if you're someone who's getting 100 likes, for example, on your post now, then viral is simply getting 200 likes or 300 and so on. It doesn't always mean you have to reach thousands or even millions of people. And when you keep going viral relative to where you are right now, it becomes much more attainable. And when it's attainable, you can do it more often. And when it happens more often, you get to understand and analyze why that post went viral for the stage you're at right now, which ultimately helps you to improve your content over time. Okay guys, so if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you all in the next one.